The New York Times just dropped a weekend anvil on Donald Trump. Guess where it came from? Prepare to roll those eyes. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. Let's call it the Signalgate Trilogy. In case you're unfamiliar, the story begins with inebriated sperm bank Pete Hegseth, the current defense secretary and former Fox News host. Just in case you need a bit of a reminder, here you go.
This text message is clearly classified information.
On a day yet more text messages were made public, as Democrats on Capitol Hill noted. Now all of them came an admission from the Trump administration. It messed up.
It was a mistake that a reporter was inadvertently added to a Signal chat with high-level national security principles.
But otherwise seemed intent on moving on from an increasingly intense scandal. All over how it is that this prominent American journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic magazine, was mistakenly added to a top-level Trump National Security Team group chat on the messaging app Signal earlier this month. The chat included highly sensitive details about a then imminent U.S. military attack on Houthi rebels in Yemen.
Here are the facts.
The White House slamming Goldberg as a Trump hater while insisting,
"We have said all along that no classified material was sent on this messaging thread."
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who supplied the most sensitive details in that group chat, called it all a media hoax.
There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
Right. So that was part one. Then, just a week ago, the sequel broke.
Sources say Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is said to have shared sensitive details about the strike in Yemen targeting Houthis in a second Signal group chat on March 15th that included his wife and brother, among others. This comes just weeks after Hegseth and officials mistakenly added an editor from The Atlantic to a group chat. Let's bring in ABC's Alex Perche. Alex, what's the latest that you're learning tonight?
Lindsay, tonight, two sources confirmed to ABC News that report by the New York Times that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared military operation details to a group chat of family and friends titled Defense Team Huddle. In this private Signal chat that included his wife, brother, and personal lawyer, the defense secretary shared specifics, including flight schedules of a strike in Yemen targeting Houthis back in March.
Exhausted yet? Stay tuned. It gets even more infuriating. Even with the revelation that Hegseth actually copied and pasted information from one of his generals into the Signal chat, which, if these things aren't secret, I don't know what is, Hegseth continues to deny that the surprise airstrikes were classified. Late last week, we also learned that he was using a so-called dirty phone line on his computer. That is, a phone line that is unsecured and vulnerable to wiretapping and hacking by enemies. That revelation comes amid the exit of a number of high-ranking Pentagon and defense officials, as well as reports of extreme chaos within the military, courtesy of Hegseth's rotten leadership, and erratic behavior by the defense secretary himself. You butt-chugging again, Pete? Maybe the man will do a keg stand for us. That would at least be entertaining. But now, in this threequel, it just got even worse. Again. The New York Times now reports that Hegseth's personal phone number, the number he used to host the Signal chat, has been posted all over the internet. German newspaper Der Spiegel found it on the web as early as last March, before the Signalgate story even broke. The Times further reports that the phone number could be found in a variety of places, including WhatsApp, Facebook, and a fantasy sports site. Mike Casey, the former director of National Counterintelligence and Security Center, further told the Times, quote, "There's 0% chance that someone hasn't tried to install Pegasus or some other spyware on his phone," end quote. Casey went on to call Hegseth one of the 5 most targeted people in the world for espionage. In other words, it's almost certain that Russia, China, and Iran had Hegseth's phone number and targeted his phone for spying. It's almost certain as well that those 3 nations, as well as any number of other hostile groups, knew about the Yemen airstrikes before they happened. And if somehow any nation on the planet didn't have Hegseth's phone number, they sure do now. All of which continues to beg one singular question. What does Pete Hegseth have to do to get fired around here? Trump loves firing people. I mean, he also loves Pete Hegseth, courtesy of Hegseth's behind licking and a history with Fox News. I guess you could say Hegseth's a liquor connoisseur on several levels. But come on, this is our national security at stake. The lives of our servicemen. Doesn't Trump care about them? Doesn't Hegseth, who actually served in the armed forces, care about these people? Oh wait, we already have our answer, don't we? It makes me wonder what else Hegseth has done on his personal phone and what secrets he has spilled to our adversaries. Congress should continue to investigate this national embarrassment, but at this point, I don't know why they would even give Hegseth any more latitude. It's time for the man to go. And the longer we wait to replace him, the more vulnerable our nation becomes. This is Occupy Democrats.